Hey guys, welcome to Unbothered. I'm your host, Patrick Ezeli. I'm currently a marriage and family therapist graduate student, and my hope in creating this podcast is to have a platform to share the things I learn as I go on this journey, and also to have some inspiring guests come on to share their stories in hopes that parts of their stories could also benefit you in your own journey. Please don't forget to like and subscribe so I can continue to provide you with some of this great content. Welcome to another episode of Unbothered, and today we have NBA champion turned sports analyst. We have none other than Festus Ezeli, my brother. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, man. I'm so honored. I'm on the podcast finally. Thanks
Yes.
for inviting me.
Of course, no problem. You've been begging me to come on, so I figured it was about time. But
Sure, man. Whatever it is. First of all, I'm really proud. I'm proud of you for doing this. I'm proud of you because it's not an easy thing to sit on camera. And for me, having done it as a job now and doing it as a podcast, like I know how hard it is to start doing the podcast. I know how hard it is to stay consistent, and you have continued to stay consistent. And we've talked about this for a while. I'm proud that you brought it to life. So keep doing it.
I really appreciate it, and I definitely plan to do so. But let's dive right into it.
Let's go.
Yeah, let's do it. So, question number one I have for you: your transition from Nigeria to the United States. You made that move 20 years ago, I believe, almost 20 years ago to this date. It's 2024. You made that move in 2004. What was that transition like for you? What would you say? What would you remember from your life in Nigeria? What would you remember to come into the United States? Was that transition like everything you imagined, like when you made that move? And also, like, what was it like moving away from family and being all on your own in a whole different country?
So I moved to America. You know this. I left Nigeria when I was 14 years old. This is in 2004. And it's crazy to hear that was almost 20 years ago because it feels like just a couple years ago and 50 years ago at the same time. And at the time, at 14, I had graduated high school, and graduating really early was just due to the fact that we have parents that are all about education. They gave us the best education when we were growing up. Made sure that we had everything that we needed, and our job was to take care of our schoolwork. That was really what we had to focus on. In the middle of everything that was going on in Nigeria, I feel like we were insulated, because they just wanted to push us to the place where we could get the best. And in the middle of all that, I was supposed to be the doctor. Since I was small, since I was a kid, mom and dad always asked me, and they always told me, really, like, is this what you want to do? Do you want to be in the health field? They kind of always directed me that way. So I thought I was going to be a doctor. And because of that, everything about what I took in school was math, sciences, and going back to that time, it's really crazy. But I graduated high school at 14. That wasn't easy because you are a young kid in the middle of other 16, 17, 18-year-olds. And you haven't, even at 14 years old, you haven't developed any skills to like talk to girls or, just have a social etiquette, just to understand what's going on. And you're in the middle of all these other guys. So I think part of the reason of me moving to America was starting to fall in with the wrong people, or at least trying to prevent me from falling with the wrong people. But at the same time, trying to foster this dream of being a doctor. And, mom sent me to live with her brother in America, who I'd only ever met when I was 6 years old. So he was essentially a stranger to me. And I'm leaving my home for the first time. I'd never left home. I think one time in my whole childhood, I stayed with our cousins for a week. And that was a big deal. Mom was calling every day, make sure I was okay. So for me to leave, not just our home, leave our state, leave our country, go to a whole new country across the world, different time zone, different kinds of people.
Mm-hmm.
It was foreign. And when you watch TV, you're excited to go to America because it's the land of opportunity.
Yeah.
I just did not know what to expect, though. And then when I got to America, I moved to Yuba City, California, which is nothing that you see on TV. On TV, you see New York, you see LA, you see Miami, maybe Vegas. They don't tell you about a small farm town, Yuba City, you know. So everything was different. And it really was on me to make this thing work. Whether it was going to work or not was based on how I reacted to that situation. And at first, it was really hard. Being a young guy by myself, my uncle, who I live with now, we're trying to get used to each other at home. He's used to living by himself. Now he has me, and I'm used to having my family around all the time. The holidays, Christmas, Thanksgiving, all the things that are in America. You have all these holidays that promote family, and you're essentially by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Uncle's working all the time, so I'm home just alone with my thoughts. But you also have this freedom of watching TV whenever you want and eating whatever you want. He doesn't cook, so you kind of you're up to your own devices. You can eat cake for breakfast if you want. And so it's just this feeling of having to parent yourself at that stage was, I think that was a very interesting time. It was a very lonely time, but it was a period of big transformation for me. And what was the question about, what happened? How did I get to, what was the question? The second question?
The second question, let's fast forward to when you got settled in. What then introduced you to the game of basketball?
All right, so at this point, I was 14 years old, but I was 6'4". And because I was so tall and one of the few black people in this town, when I walk around, people assume I play basketball. So they would ask me everywhere we go. We go to the restaurant. Do you play basketball? We go to the mall. Do you play basketball? When he was signing me up to go to school, people asked me the same question. And there was something about this question that it just felt like not only was I supposed to do it, but this was a sign that we should maybe look into this. And after a while of convincing me, of trying to convince me, I wasn't an athlete. I didn't grow up playing any sports. I played soccer a little bit. Maybe we ran as kids, like racing each other, but not really playing. We played soccer as kids, like when you put the cones there and you guys just hanging out after school.
Like one touch.
Yeah, one touch. Yeah, all these kind of sports that you play, but nothing consistently and nothing where you have to train. So I don't know if I would count that as playing it for real, because I quickly come to find out when Uncle Mecca signed me up for basketball, he found a team on the back of a newspaper. It's like, yo, why don't we try to get you to play this game?
Mm-hmm.
And I was refusing for a long time because, for one, if you're nervous, you're shy, you're trying something new. I'm not going to be any good at this. You already know. But after a while of convincing you, he's like, I'm like, okay, I'm going to try to play basketball. And so he signs me up for this team that he finds in the back of a newspaper. We drive out. I remember this day so clearly. I remember being so nervous. I don't even have the right shoes. Like, what kind of socks do you wear with basketball shoes? I don't. So we drive to the gym. It's in the middle of a farm field, and I walk in, and as I'm even telling this story, I'm recollecting how weird this picture was because, like, there's one white dude, like a bunch of Indian and Mexican kids, but, like, I'm the only black dude. And I walk in, and the coach was black, and he was light-skinned. So I walk in, and everybody looks at me like, oh, man. And that was my first day trying to go, play basketball.
Mm-hmm.
And we quickly figured out that I was no good. Like, I just didn't know how to play. I didn't know how to shoot. I didn't know how to dribble. I didn't know what was going on the court. Everyone was running around. The highlight of that period, though, was that I remember one day Is this even the highlights? I remember the coach one day trying to teach me how to shoot layups. And I just remember how happy I was when I finally learned how to shoot a layup. And, I learned some value from that experience. At the same time, Uncle was trying to teach me. At the same time, Uncle signed me up for school. I went back to high school. I graduated high school at 14 in Nigeria. So when I came here, Uncle Mecca tried to sign me up for school here, for a high school, because he felt like if I was able to go back to high school and I played high school basketball with people my age, then I can learn faster and then I can get a scholarship to go to college. Because college was expensive. There's a lot of things that were going on at the time. So that was the real argument and why I started to learn how to play. So I go to Jesuit High School. It's after just learning how to shoot a layup. I'm like, okay, I'm good now. I'm ready to go. I don't know the rest of the rules. I don't know nothing else is going on. And the basketball team sees me for the first time. Now I'm 15 years old. Now I got like a little bit of height, 6'6". So when they see me, they're like, ooh-wee. So the coach sees me for the first time. He's like, nice to meet you, young man. You played before? And, it's like, no, I never played, but I think I can pick it up. It's like, okay, show me what you got. Gives me a basketball. And I took the basketball. I didn't know what to do with it. I took it. And I just threw it at the backboard. And it just hits it. Boom. And everybody starts laughing like, stop messing around. But I didn't know what I did wrong. I thought that's how you shoot.
Yeah.
I only knew how to shoot a layup. I didn't know how to dribble still. So after a while, they were like, okay, well, we'll teach you how to go. And all right, let's get in line. Everybody do the 3-man weave. I didn't know what was going on. Like people just running around behind each other. I was like running into people. They're like, hey, all right, let's do a sprint. I ran up and down twice. I was like holding everything. That side of your stomach when stuff start hurting on the side. And, pretty soon we went to a tournament. There was a tournament at some point, and I scored the wrong basket. I scored it on the wrong basket because I didn't know that at halftime you switch ends of the court. There's a lot of stuff going on at this point in my life. And I'm playing that AAU at the same time as I'm playing at Jesuit, and I'm trying to figure out, how to learn this game. And unfortunately, I got cut from Jesuit because it just was too much to teach me. Everyone else was playing at a much higher level. They were, dribbling between their legs, doing all these tricks and drills, passing, playing teamwork. They're talking about how they can get their team collectively good so they can go win a championship. I'm over here like, yo, can you teach me how to dribble? So way far behind. You obviously have a shot to your ego when you start playing. That's where the journey started. I got cut to start my whole journey.
Let's rewind to something you just said. You said you scored your own basket. I want you to flash back to that moment. How'd that feel? Obviously, one can assume how that felt. But when you made that basket, I'm sure you were very excited about it till you looked over at your teammates and they were probably like, oh no. So from feeling so high about that to looking over and seeing that you actually scored against your own team, take me through those emotions and how that made you feel at the time from what you can recall.
Well, when I first started playing basketball, I already felt like I was climbing an uphill battle because my teammates were constantly having to baby me, trying to teach me what to do, how to. So when I get in the game, it was like, how can I not mess this up? So when I had this prime opportunity, I got a rebound and I had a chance to score. I felt like I was finally doing something good for my team. I'm like, man, I'm actually helping us win. What I didn't know is that at this point in the game, because it was the second half and I got in the game, I think the coach just threw me in, just like, man, he's part of this tournament. He paid his money too, like these other kids, let him play.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize that at this point, because it's the second half, that they switched ends of the court. And I got the rebound in my head. I'm like, yes, it's finally your turn. It's your turn.
Yeah.
And so I put the ball in the basket. And I remember the feeling of excitement turning so quickly because when I looked at my teammates, they were like, yo, you know how it goes. What are you
Yeah.
doing? And it's the crowd laughing. It's people looking at you like you're some freaking alien. Eventually, the coach took me out quickly after that. And, people are like, yo, it's okay. But I'm just beating myself up like, man, like, when is it going to get better? Maybe it's not for me, And it's crazy because, after that whole tournament was over, I think everyone wrote me off. And I wrote myself off because they're so much farther ahead than where I am. And I can only see the distance. Like, I can't even see the fact that I know how to shoot a layup now. My brain doesn't even focus on that because all I can see is that these guys are doing 360 windmill dunks. And I'm over here trying to figure out how to shoot a layup or even know which basket to shoot it. So you asked me about the emotion. The emotion was embarrassment. It was sadness. It was loneliness again because, if you ever been on a team of any sort, like part of what the camaraderie, what makes people the top dogs is the people who produce the most. Those people usually have people coming around them more. And if you don't do anything for the team or you're not part of, you're the
Kind of pushed to the side.
pushed to the side. So there was this feeling of there's a feeling of I'm not good enough, but because I have had so many, I think I just had this feeling in my mind of like, why can't I be good? There was no answer to the question. There was just a question in my mind of like, what would it take for me to be good? Like I was envious of those people that were really good at the game. Like, what would it take for me to be good at this? And that's where this whole story began.
In terms of the point you made with comparing yourself to like other people, the people that were doing well, and kind of like losing hope because you were seeing that they were like at a level so much like higher than you. Um, I feel like that's like a great point because like so often I feel like us as like as humans like we tend to like compare in any field. We tend to like compare ourselves to like other people. Like our productivity level. It's like how other people are doing instead of like just kind of looking inward at ourselves and just like taking it one step at a time with ourselves and comparing ourselves to ourselves, rather than like other people. And I feel like if you look at it like in that lens, like everything else will kind of like fall into place. What do you think about that? Do you have anything to add to that? Because
I agree. Yes, it's true, but there's two sides to it because you're not living in a bubble. In this world, like you compare yourself to yourself, and that's true because it gives you an ability to really focus on your own self-improvement.
mm-hmm.
I think having an objectivity, not necessarily to compare yourself to other people, but having a framework of what it looks like to be good is important. So me knowing that this is what it is and this is where the elite people are
Yeah.
was important for me to understand, especially when I started to work. So my story gets better because I met this guy one day after school. I met a guy, Mr. Artister, Keith Artister. And it's a long story of how we met, but really his son saw me one day in school and he was asking me if I played basketball. At this point, I got cut. And when he asked me the question, do you play basketball? I couldn't even say yes to it. I tried, but I didn't play, so I just said, no, I play soccer. And he goes home and tells his dad, there's this big kid in my school. He says he plays soccer. I don't know what the hell he's talking about. Come check it out. So dad comes, meets me. Or at least he comes to the school, sees me waiting for my car to come pick me up. He goes to the coach. He's like, yo, y'all got a big kid.
Mm-hmm.
And the coach is like, actually, no, the way he said it was, you guys are going to be good this year. You got a big kid over here. You're going to be straight. The coach is like, yeah, we're going to be good, but not because of him. And he's like, what's wrong with him? Coach is like, man, I don't know where to start. And he says, what's wrong with him? Can he run? Coach is like, yeah. Can he jump? Coach is like, yeah. What's the problem?
Mm-hmm.
Coach is like, he can't chew gum and walk at the same time. He's like, all right, well, can I have him? Coach is like, do whatever you want. So he comes up to me and says, you know what, I would love for you to play on my AAU team. At the time, I just got cut. I'm looking at all these other people better than me, and I'm really trying to tell him I'm not any good. Like, yo, look somewhere else. It's like, nah, I got you. You got to come join my team.
Mm-hmm.
And on that team, I was just as bad. But this time I had somebody there. And it's really important to have a perspective in your life that tells you to focus on yourself, focus on your own improvement. And I had moments when I did something, made a silly turnover, fouled everybody. Like, I don't know what I'm doing on the court. And he comes and puts his arms around me, and he's like, listen, you're not there yet. You're not anywhere close. But your potential is way higher than any of these kids around here. Trust me. One day they're going to be asking you for tickets. But until then, you got to work. So to answer your question, it's not important for me to compare myself to other people. Not necessarily. But it was important for me to understand that I had a long way to go. And that was the thing that gave me the motivation. So on those days when you start working and he signs me up for basketball classes or he signs me up to have a coach, and my first 20 minutes of the workout, I go lay on the floor. I'm not good. I'm almost throwing up because I'm hurting, out of shape. Or when things start to get hard and I want to quit, it's really important to remember that you are really far away from the top and you have so much work to do. And that was the extra juice that I needed. Now, if I only focused on me, I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I just didn't have I wouldn't have had as much fire in me to be better.
Yeah.
But he reminded me in those days when I quit, when I did quit multiple times. I had times where I like, dude, I can't do this. I don't want to do this anymore. And I had somebody who was like a dad that kind of grabbed me back, like, nah, like you said, remember what you told me that you want to do this? I asked you if you wanted to do this. You said yes.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're going to quit because it got hard? And that's what, for all of us, I think that's the lesson that we all need to learn, is that when we make a decision that we're going to do something, along the way, I feel like life tests us. It continues to test us. Like, are you really going to do what you said you were going to do? And it was really important to have someone there to tell me that I was who I said I was going to be what I said I was going to be. And he kept pulling me back into that thing. And it just reminded me of consistency, how discipline and consistency are important. And for all of us, as you're building on your journey, your job is to find a way, find something that keeps you constant, that keeps you working, regardless of the noise. Because your brain is gonna wire you to, when you compare yourself to other people, you're gonna be wired to be like, no, I just see the distance between me and them. It's not possible. So let me just go do this other thing that I'm good at that's probably bad for me, but I'm good at this thing over here. So let me leave this because this person is better than me over here. And having a dad figure, a father figure, like, he put me around other people my age, his son, all people that were working hard. Changing your environment is so important when you're trying to climb. Because if you continue to surround yourself with people who aren't in the frame of mind that you're trying to get to, then you're constantly fighting two battles. You're fighting yourself, which is the battle you're fighting every day, and you're fighting your surroundings. Why would you want to do that? Why wouldn't you want your environment to pull you up? So I think that was the biggest thing in that regard was, I had a framework of people around me who were also striving to be better. And it just gave me this change of perspective that I can be better.
Going back to the school you originally started at, and having that coach come in and ask your former coach about this guy, asking, like, essentially, like, inquiring about how the team was going to perform this year, and having that coach say, yeah, we're going to be good, but not because of him.
I wasn't there in that conversation. So that was him. That was between him and the coach. He told me that later.
Yeah.
And he actually told me that as motivation.
Okay.
Remember what this guy said this to me, and you gonna quit now? And it just like lights a fire in you. Like, man, they told me I wasn't good. All right, let me get back to work.
Yeah. Then like when you started playing for him, you were doing like equally. You still weren't playing just you still weren't playing well when you were playing with him, but you had someone that believed in you. Obviously, discipline, consistency, and all that. But tell me how important it is to have someone who believes in you like that, and someone to actually like let you know that you can do it and you can actually like do this thing.
Man, it's so important to have people who believe in you because life is a long, windy journey, and you have ups and you have downs. And when you're up, a lot of people usually want to come celebrate with you.
Mm-hmm.
And the downs, usually not as many people. It's so important to have people, the consistent people who are there with you, regardless of whether you're up or down.
Yeah.
You usually find those people when you usually have people like that in your life that see beyond the you that is affected by the ups and downs. Whoever you are innately. And in my life, I've had a few of those people. Keith Oddister was one of them. And the really cool thing about it is that he came into my life when I needed a father figure. I needed family. I needed a community. I needed something. Like I was just here solo by myself.
Mm-hmm.
Like I can't explain to you what it's like to come back to a house by yourself all the time, or to ride in a car by yourself all the time, or like it's just by yourself when you came from a family of all these people. And he saw something in me. I think he just knew by meeting me, talking with me, he knew that I was a good kid. But I think he also had this thing that he wanted to help kids and there have been people who helped him in the past, so he wanted to pass that on. And in times when I felt like I couldn't do it, it was really important to have his voice there because it pushed me over the hump. It got me back in the race. And you cannot win the race. You for sure can't win the race unless you're in it. Like you can't make the shot unless you take it. And that's the most important part for a lot of people is just being able to just stay on the track.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what he did for me.
Being able to try in the first place.
Yeah.
Okay. Then what would you say you started to find your stride in basketball? It's like, okay, I can actually like do this thing.
Another thing about starting something new is that everything, that you see progress in everything. Starting to play basketball for the first time, I could notice when I could dribble the basketball twice and not lose it. I could notice that I could run up and back on the basketball court twice to 3 times the next day to 4 times. And so every part of the game, I could notice myself improving. The one moment in my head, though, that sticks out is I remember like trying to learn how to dunk for a long time, just trying to be able to gather my feet. Eventually, I was able to dunk consistently.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember one game, and it's really funny because my former coach was at the game. This is an AU tournament, and I can't remember if it was LA or Vegas. I just remember the gym. It's like a dark gym. It was early in the morning, like 9 o'clock or something. We had a game, and I remember seeing him in the stands. Man, I didn't talk to him because I still had that thing, that resentment against him, and he was now the fuel for my fire inside me. So I remember I got a rebound. Like I grabbed the rebound in the middle of the lane. It was an offensive rebound, and I was trying to figure out how can I. There's like 5 people around me. What am I doing next? Like how do I not turn the ball over? And I could just hear Mr. Rowe in the background. Dunk it! And I just gathered as much as I could, and I just went up to the rim. And I don't even know how it was possible, and I dunked this basketball. The whole gym went crazy.
The Holy Spirit came over you.
I think it was the Holy Spirit. And I remember the feeling of like, this is crazy. I can't believe I just did that in the game, but I just made the best play in the whole game. Those are the moments that make the long nights and all the work, those moments, especially because it was in front of my former coach that rejected me. Now it was almost like a screw you. Now I didn't do anything for the rest of that game, but I was happy with the fact that I did that one thing. And I walked away like, yeah, I can see some improvement. And I'm on the court, by the way. You told me I couldn't play. Now I'm on the court. And it just gave me more fuel for my fire. And, I think about that now in terms of people who want to lose weight or people who want to start speaking on camera. It just takes that one good sentence that you made. Maybe the rest of it is terrible. You make it one good sentence, you're like, ooh, I can build on that. And I had this couple of weeks of eating good, eating clean. Yeah, I can build on that. And for me, I started to see something. I started to see the fact that if I work hard, I can have more good moments.
Yeah.
And so now I started to stack good moments. Now it was like, it wasn't just a dunk. It was a dunk and a block. Now it was a dunk, block, and another score. Now now it was a good defensive. So you started to build these moments. And, about 2 years later, by the time I'm 17 years old, I go from this kid that didn't know what he was doing to top 150 kids in the country. And, it's a lot of things that came along the way, but that's the one thing that I walk away from that with is that if you put the time in, good things happen.
That moment where you're able to get that dunk and that block in front of the coach that rejected you, before you started playing with the coaches you ended up with, the one that believed in you, you could have easily quit if that moment never happened and you didn't get someone that believed in you to put the time in with you. I feel like that speaks to how important it is to not give up, because that's almost like a full circle moment. It's where now you get to have those big moments in front of them that you wouldn't have if you just gave up. So I feel like that speaks to perseverance a little bit, and the importance of staying the course.
See, when people hear stories, you're absolutely right. It's so important to have those people. But when people hear stories and you hear these little snippets, that's not the full journey.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you everything about this journey. But one thing I will tell you is that I kept showing up. Even when I got cut from the basketball team, I was still coming to school, and I was still nice to my friends. And that's how I met Kyle, who was Keith's son. And so he was like, man, there's this really cool kid, but he doesn't play basketball. And he goes to his dad, and it gave him the impetus to go. So I also attracted somebody to me because of who I was. I don't want people to sit around and think, well, either I don't have the person in my life or I don't know what to do. I think that we also have a responsibility because of the people we are to attract good people to us that are going to help us along the way. And part of that thing is sometimes just showing up. Maybe if you're in the right environment, you'll be able to attract the person. You're not going to attract them from your house. If I would have quit going to school because this thing didn't work out, then I would have compounded the problem. Now I'm not only cut from the team, I'm also not getting better in school. I don't meet people. So now it's okay, why am I here in this hole? Well, you put yourself there. Life is going to happen. That's the whole point of this podcast. There's always going to be challenges, but your job is to keep showing up. Stay on the track, because on that track, that's when that's the only way those blessings are going to come. I love this thing by Steve Harvey where he says, when you pray for something, God ships it immediately. And you have to stay on Faith Street. If you move to, I don't see how Boulevard or, I don't deserve it Avenue, it doesn't come to, it only comes to Faith Street. And that is part of why even your shirt says trust the journey. You just have to trust that even the rejection will lead you to where you're supposed to be. Who knows, if I would have actually tried with that basketball team, who knows if I would have been good enough to even play, if they would have been able to teach me effectively. Because they had all these guys who were good. They didn't have enough time to teach me. So I would have just been on the bench. But Mr. Artister, Keith Artister, he really had the time, and he put the time in with me. But along the way, there's so many people. There's a community college coach that I met along the way. This story is too long for us to tell everything.
Mm-hmm.
But people will come into your life if you are a good person, if you work hard, if they see that light in you. People are attracted to light. They just want to be around it. They want to support it. They want to be part of a success story too.
Yeah.
So there's talent in everybody. It's just, are you willing to let people in sometimes? And those people can come in to change the trajectory of your life.
Before we go on and talk about you shooting up to one of the top 150 prospects, let's go back to Steve Harvey a little bit because obviously, as your brother, I know how much of a fan you are of Steve Harvey, and like you listen to him like pretty much whether it's like every morning, either him or some sort of like motivational like video. I mean, why did you start doing that? And what part of Harvey's like story like do you resonate with?
It is so important to find a way to be inspired.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't have someone to be that person for you, your job is to find it. We're in the day and age when we have everything at the tip of our fingers. You don't have any excuse anymore. Like, nobody has an excuse. Like, I don't know how to code it's literally right there on YouTube. I don't know how to crochet. I don't know how to shoot a
Yeah.
basketball. If I had YouTube back then, I probably would have learned in a year and a half, as
Yeah.
opposed to 2 years. So that is my way. Listening to motivational videos every day is my way of having that mentor with me every day that tells me that it's going to be okay. Through life's journeys, through life's doubts, I need to be able to stay on the track. I need to be able to continue to push myself to new limits and new heights. And it's harder and harder each when you get to the higher part of the mountain, it becomes harder. There's less oxygen. There's a little bit more risky, more wind up there. Less room less room for error. And so I need more and more the higher I climb. And listening to Steve Harvey or I can't ever remember all the people right now because I'm in this mode of speaking.
Yeah.
But it's really important to have people that speak life into you, positivity, inspiration, godly just values.
Mm-hmm.
Just keep reiterating that if I continue to work hard, if I continue to be good, that good things will happen. Think about if somebody, you're like, I'm a good person, I'm a good person. Somebody comes and slaps you. Your initial response is, I'm slapping them back. Those words might cause you to just hold back just half a second. And maybe in that half a second, karma comes and gets them. A cop comes and get and they go away. But if you
Mm-hmm.
slap him back, and now the cop comes, he only sees you
Yeah.
slapping him back. Now you're the one getting in trouble. Now so it's just crazy how life works that way. So like I'm more in the mode of like I want to make sure that I'm doing everything in my power to make myself be the person I can be. And in turn, as I'm doing that, I'm also teaching people that this is the way you get to where you want to be too.
How important is it to have a role model, someone that you look up to that you want to try and like emulate, that has all the values you're trying to like obtain and stuff like that, just so you have a sense of direction of where you want to go. How important is it to have someone you look up to?
It's important to know that people are ahead of you in the race that you're running.
Mm-hmm.
I don't necessarily look to people to show me the life I want to live, but I look to people to show me that it is possible to live the life that you envision. Because I listen to Steve Harvey, and all he talks about is, I wanted to be on TV as a kid, and people laughed at me. And now I'm on every TV station in the world,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and that inspires me. I don't necessarily want to be a comedian or be a motivation speaker like he is, but I want to do the things in my heart and I want to know that it's possible, even though I can't see it right now. So having role models is so important because it gives you a sense that you can accomplish these things. And especially if they have the same values as as you do, it makes you believe that you can be yourself while doing it.
Okay. Yeah, that definitely makes a lot of sense. So 150 prospect, you start gaining momentum. Tell me, how do you start to feel during that process when you see all these like colleges start to come in? I believe Vanderbilt, obviously, Harvard, um, like amongst like countless others. How does that start to like shape your confidence and just yeah, how would you feel like when those great things start to happen for you?
I always say new levels bring new devils.
Mm.
And when I became top 150, now I had the problem that I didn't even think I was going to have before. Because before I just wanted anyone to choose me. Like, please pick me. I just want to come to your school. I would send people letters.
Yeah.
Now I'm a top 150 prospect in basketball in high school. And I have all these schools coming at me. Who do I choose? And they're all telling me the same things. And now you have the paradox of choice. I don't know who to choose. And so that's his own problem because now I'm like, I don't want to make the wrong decision.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a problem in itself just as much as, as not having to. And just in your mind, you're just like, I got to make sure I get this right. And took a bunch of visits to different schools. I really wanted to stay in California. That was a hard decision to not stay in California because I would be even farther from the little family that I knew now here.
Mm-hmm.
I finally built a community in California, and so I wanted to go to Stanford. Unfortunately, Stanford didn't have any scholarships available. I didn't get accepted in. So I was like, you know what? Took a visit to Harvard. Didn't quite click. I didn't think that was the community. So like vibes and just being positive and enjoying the people I'm with was so important to me at the time. And I knew what it was like to be in a community that I loved. So I wanted to find that. And I found that at Vanderbilt. Reason why I singled out Harvard is because as a kid growing up in Nigeria with those parents that were so academically minded,
That's
Harvard
gold
was number one on
standard.
the list. It's the golden standard. It's the thing that everyone wants. This is my son will go to Harvard.
Yeah.
That's what African parents wanted. And when I finally got to this place, it's really crazy to even think about now because I somehow had the wherewithal to say, this is the gold standard, but this is not the place I that will make me the golden standard for myself. And wow, I didn't think about that like that before. So I went to Vanderbilt, and it was Nashville. It was the South.
That's a
all
word,
these
by the way,
different
what you
things.
just said. But yeah, go.
It's crazy because when I went there, I just felt at home. Like all this, like I had like 8 teammates that were my age. They wanted to show me around. I was just got along. The conversations were different, and it's a really good school too. Like Vanderbilt is a top 15 school, but I just felt like I felt home. And after speaking with the basketball coach, Kevin Stallings, he didn't sugarcoat anything. He was like, yo, I want you to be good. I'm not going to recruit over you. But I want you to know that I'm going to work you. And you're going to absolutely work. And you might hate me because of it. And I said, you know what? I'd rather you be honest than lie to me. And he said it to me, and I had teammates that I loved, and I thought the city was great. And I said, yes, I'm going to Vandy.
When you first got to Vanderbilt, was it what you expected?
You're in the middle of a college campus with kids from all over the country, all over the world. And you all have this one thing in common, that you all feel like you're alone. Like you're like, man, who are all these people around me? I had that even more because I came from a different country. But I had already experienced that before, so I knew I can build a community. I just didn't know how, and I was super shy. So when I got to college, I didn't talk to nobody. I just hung out with my teammates. That's it. And I didn't play very much when I first got there. In fact, my first year I didn't play at all. And that time plus being quiet, it kind of gave me the energy and I was putting a lot of time in. My schoolwork was really kicking my tail. I was pre-med the first couple of years. So it's just it was like one big balancing act. Like, yo, how can I go to practice and not die and go to school and not die? And now you look back at it, and those were the fun times. Those are
Mm-hmm.
the things that you make you enjoy college. Like, we laugh about it all the time, me and my friends. Just like, remember that time that we thought we could, have a 6 p.m. lab after practice, where we all fell asleep in lab. It's like, because we just ran all these crazy sprints. All those things you learn, you adjust. But after my second year in college, I had to make a decision. I can't be effective in class and be an effective basketball player. And this part, I started to love the game, and I felt like I needed some time. Like, I needed more time, and the only way to do that was to change majors. So I go from biology major to economics,
Mm-hmm.
because we're Nigerian and we're not going to pick anything that's not professional.
Yeah.
So I picked economics, but it gave me more time because it was less class requirements, and I was able to now put more time into basketball, and man, I started to see the results immediately on the court.
Redshirting when you first got there, was that something that you knew you were gonna do beforehand? How did you feel at the time when you were redshirting? Because I mean, no one wants to not play. So,
Man, you want me to tell every part of my story? We're gonna be here for 6 hours.
I mean, we're really getting into it. But let's touch on that part because I feel like that's a very pivotal.
I knew that redshirting was going to be important for me. I asked for it. As a matter of fact, there's a couple of colleges that dropped out because I told them I wanted a redshirt. UCLA, USC, they wanted me to play immediately. I said I want a redshirt because I've never been on a team before. I've only
Mm-hmm.
ever played summer AAU ball, and I want some time to acclimate to the pressures of being in college. I was a little scared. I'm not gonna
Mm-hmm.
lie. Like, it was daunting. It was a big deal to be able to go to a college. Now you're going from 50 people watching you in AAU to 10,000 people watching you. So there's a lot of things I felt like I had to get through. I had anxiety whenever I stepped on the court. Butterflies, yes, but anxiety to the point where I couldn't fully function. I couldn't even pass the ball because people were watching me. Like, my hands were shaking. I would like
Mm-hmm.
try to pass it to you, and it would go all the way to half court.
Yeah.
Um, so there were things I had to get over, and I think Vanderbilt gave me the best chance to do that. And so when I was redshirting, I was just working, and my roommate was also a redshirt, Charles Hinkle, and we
Mm-hmm.
just be in the gym together all the time. Even if we wanted to go out, because you still have to have a life as a student. Like, before we go out, we go get shots up, and the only reason why I remember this is because, like, my memory is not that great, but I remember this because in his wedding, that was one of his speeches, because I was one of his groomsmen.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, like, one of the reasons why I've been able to continue to play as a pro is I remember the work ethic that we both had as freshmen. And before we even got to enjoy ourselves, we had to make sure that we got the work in. And that still serves me till today. And I think even in my mind right now, that still serves me because I feel like I got to be working. Like, even, I woke up this morning, I got to go get a workout in. I got to, like, the stuff that I need to do, I learned those things early as an athlete, as someone who was in, what would I even call that? Like, obscurity. Obscurity for me, like, nobody knew me on campus. I couldn't get into parties because they were like, yo, you don't even play. And they would
Mm-hmm.
shoo me away, you know. But all that stuff was all fuel to my fire. And I was really happy that I knew who my real friends were in those moments. And I knew what I was about because I continued to show up to the gym. And later on, when I started to play more, and then eventually got to the point of being a starter on the team, a team captain, like, NBA prospect, that didn't change. Like, I was still that. It's just everyone around me changed. Now I was the guy throwing the parties, the same parties I was not allowed to go into.
Mm-hmm.
Now they wanted to use me as the face to get people to come in.
Yeah.
So it's just crazy, and it makes me just excited to tell people that part of the story, because I think a lot of people are redshirting in their lives where they're not playing in the game or things are not going the way they wanted to go, and they're wondering, like, how can I get people to come into, like, your job is not to let them come to your party or let you get into the party. Your job is to find a way to be great at what you do, and eventually you be the one throwing the party. That's the story for every part of my journey. It's
Yeah.
been like, I couldn't even get someone to call me back when I tried to send my letters to colleges. And eventually, now I have all these colleges beating my door down. Like, no, we want you to come now. Come play right now. I'm like, no. I want to play when I'm ready to play. You know, so I think there's a lesson in there as well of patience, but also like the work ethic and the beauty of obscurity.
When did you first know that the NBA was like a possibility for you?
The NBA was never in my frame of like, it wasn't even something that I thought was possible, because like I said before, the distance was so great. So all I was worried about right now is I just want to be good. Like, I just want to play. And every day when I'm thinking about playing basketball or when I'm working in the gym, I'm just thinking about how can I play? How can I be effective? When I'm shooting a jump hook and all the hundreds and thousands of jump hooks I'm shooting in college, I'm just like, how can I get that off so that I can be an effective part of our offense to help my team win? I didn't want to be the lonely guy that's not helping the team win, that's just in the corner. I wanted to be a part of this team. I wanted to help my team win. I wanted to, when I left a game and we lost or we won, I wanted to feel like I contributed something to that, and there was something I could do better to be better the next game. And I think that was just the driving thing, that every day I just, I would be in the gym late at night jump roping because I want to be better at my footwork. I'd be in the gym with garden gloves on, telling one of the managers to come in at midnight just to fire passes at me so I can learn how to catch the ball. There's things in this journey that I can't even remember because I had to do so much to catch up to everybody else who was playing, that when you even ask me, what is it like? Or when did you even know the NBA was there? I never had NBA in my frame of mind. But I remember an article that was written about me by ESPN when I was a junior. And the title of the article was, "How Did I Get Here?" And this article, I just was telling them that I didn't know that it was possible for the NBA to come knocking on my door. I just thought it was for somebody else. My journey was to focus on me and just trying to be good. And all of a sudden I look up and I'm like, oh, wow, like I can see the people who I was chasing, they were right next to me, So if there's anything I could tell people about that, it's just like, maybe people want to set goals of making it to the NBA. I get it. Like that's possible, and it's important to set goals. But I think it's all about your daily habits. I think it's all about the things you do. You and I talk about this all the time. I've told you this before about stacking habits. Like, it could be something as small as making your bed. And that thing is not necessarily because, well, you want to make your bed. It's usually because you want to have something that gives you confidence. Whenever you say, I want to work out 5 times this week, and you actually work out 5 times this week, it's just a little bit more confidence. When you do a hard workout and you want to quit, you're doing a plank and it's you're doing a minute plank and it's 52 seconds, sorry. You're doing a minute plank and it's 52 seconds and you want to put your knees down. You want to rest because it's like, it's getting too hard. And you just let that clock ride, and you're holding the plank. It's 53 seconds, and your body starts to shake, and it's 55 seconds, and it's 57 seconds. When you get to a minute, there is something in your body that you just did. You're not the same anymore. You just gave yourself like a whip of confidence that you don't understand. I can't explain to you. I've had to see it in games, and because a part of basketball, a part of playing sports for a living is people have to understand that it's confidence. A lot of people in the NBA can play. Everyone in the NBA can play. That's the whole point of being in the NBA. You're the best in the world. But there's some people who can't make layups. Not because they can't make layups, but because the confidence is low. And some people that can't miss. Even if they closed their eyes and they just threw the ball up, the ball was going to go in. Why? Because it's just confidence. And there's things you can do to build that confidence, and it starts with little daily habits and just doing the things that you say you're going to do. When you do those things, just more and more confidence. If you say, I'm not going to touch this thing anymore, and the temptation comes, and you really want to grab this bag of chips. I don't know what it is. I'm just using random expressions. I'm not saying nothing wrong with chips. But you say, I'm not going to drink soda anymore. And you're super thirsty, and soda's the only thing available. And you're like, no, I'm not drinking that. I'll go find something else. And you go out of your way to go find some water. you just built confidence and trust with yourself. And people don't understand that part of the journey. So the confidence to be able to be an NBA prospect and to get to that point, it was just in the daily habits.
Trust with yourself. That's definitely very deep right there. The last thing I want to talk about, like with college, is your junior year. You had the opportunity to go to the league, to declare for the draft, and you're most likely going to be a lottery pick, but you decided to stay for your senior year. What was that decision all about?
I decided to stay one more year in college instead of leaving and going to the NBA, even though I would have been a lottery pick, because I really wanted to win. Like I wanted to win something in college. Like I didn't want to just leave college without doing anything.
Mm-hmm.
There's something about just being able to lead your team to doing something great that I felt was calling my name. So I came back from my senior year of college with that on my mind.
Okay. But then your senior year of college, you did have that injury that caused you to miss a significant amount of games. So like in hindsight, is that something is that a decision you regret, staying back, because of that injury?
So when people ask questions about making a mistake, because let's call it a mistake because I got injured my senior year.
Mm-hmm.
The thing about a decision is it's kind of like the word incision where you cut something, right? Like when I made a decision, that was the decision. Like I was going to go back to college to help my team win.
Mm-hmm.
So when my senior year came and I got injured, it was a potential career-ending injury. And I was sitting here just looking at it was in practice, and I landed on someone's leg, and my leg goes the other way that's not supposed to go. And it's all like a dream. And I'm laying there watching my coach run over to me as his head is over me. The trainer is holding my leg and trying to test it, and it's bending in a way it's not supposed to bend. And I felt like I was in a dream. And I'm just looking at what's happening. My coach starts crying. My teammates are like, can't even look. I'm just looking like, am I dreaming? What's happening? They took me to the hospital, like bandaged my leg. All this stuff is going. I'm like, what's going on? And you know, one thing I learned in that moment is that as all these things are happening, it's important to not let it get inside you. As they were telling me, the doctor was telling me whatever he was telling me, that, you know, you might never play again. Like, let's figure out how you can get to walk in. And like, my brain didn't register any of what he was saying. Like, how can I get back on the court? It's like, it's what I was listening for in his voice. Like, we can have surgery, you missed a year, or we can go without surgery. Okay, what's that option? Well, then you can see in 6 weeks if you're able to. I was like, whatever the option is, I want to play. And that was the mentality I built over those years because I started to have confidence in myself. I felt like once I got on the court that I was going to be able to make a difference. And I worked so hard to get to this point, to be a senior, to help my team win. My team was ranked top 4 in the country
Mm-hmm.
at the time. Vanderbilt Academic School, ranked 4 in the country because of what we did, what we built, me and my teammates. And so starting off that year, missing 6 weeks, 8 weeks, I mean, in the college season, that's missing half the season. I was just watching, and I wanted to be there with my teammates so bad. And I couldn't do anything to be on the court. And I thought, as a team captain, I got to find a way to inspire my guys because we lost a few games we're not supposed to lose, and they were about to go off on this tournament. And I thought, you know what? I'm gonna write them a letter. I don't know why I thought about this. I'd never written a letter before. It's not something that guys don't do stuff like that. I don't even know why, but it was the only thing I could come up with, a way to inspire my guys. I wrote all the guys on my team, each one of them, a letter, like a page-long letter. Some of them double both sides.
To each one
Each
individually.
person. I put it all in their bags as they were leaving for this tournament. I remember guys like calling me a text. I don't even know. Did we have text back then? I think we had text. So I remember guys hitting me up like, yo, man, thank you. We're going to go win this thing for you. and they go off and they win this tournament at a time when they were struggling. And that gave me a boost of confidence. And I knew that my presence was going to make a difference. So going off that season, when I finally came back on the court, I worked my way back into shape, and it was hard. I had this big old brace. I had to play. I'm lumped. But after a while, in the middle of the season, I was like, screw this. I want to be good for my team. Like, I was kind of crazy, though. I took the brace off in the middle of a game one day. I was like, screw it. I'm going to go play.
Yeah.
We go off and we win a championship that season, won the SEC championship. First time in 50 years. We beat an undefeated Kentucky team with Anthony Davis, who was the first pick in that draft. Matter of fact, everyone on that team was a first-round pick in the NBA draft.
Yeah.
And you look back and you ask, do you regret making that decision? I don't regret making any decision. Like, I needed that decision. Like, I needed to know that I could win a championship there. And who knows if I didn't go through that, if I would have been in the situation that I was in here with the Golden State Warriors and having the experience I had here and getting drafted to a team, you know, that eventually became the golden standard.
So I feel like that's like a great pivot from the SEC championship. You get drafted to, at the time, the worst team in the NBA. What was that journey like? I mean, kind of from being at such a good team to getting drafted to the worst team in the league. Then, I mean, over the years, obviously you guys got better. Then you guys worked your way up to like winning the championship. Tell us a little bit about that journey and just the journey, what it took to winning that championship and how that felt for you. That's something like very few people in the history of the game get to accomplish. So I feel like that's not really like something to skip over. So
first off, getting drafted into the NBA was like beyond my wildest dreams. I didn't think that was something that was possible. And getting drafted in the first round to the Warriors after having that potential career-ending injury in college was like God continuing to push me forward. So I get to Golden State Warriors, and I heard about these two guys who could really shoot the ball. And I was like, man, like, they really shoot like that? They were like, yeah. Granted, I had one of the best shooters in the country on my team at Vanderbilt. His name was John Jenkins. I'd never seen anyone shoot like this before. And John was an incredible human. I had some amazing teammates. We had 3 draft picks in Vanderbilt. And I get here, and I quickly realize that the NBA is the best of the best. And so when they told me these two guys can really shoot the basketball, I said, who? Steph Curry, Klay Thompson. And I watched these guys in practice. Matter of fact, I can't skip this part. So I get to the NBA, I get to my first day of practice. I met all my teammates. I met Draymond Green, who was one of my draft classmates, Harrison Barnes.
Yep.
And we gone through, we had the rookie summer ball, and we played, and we came in, and we won. We won everything. We beat everybody. This was with Klay Thompson at the time.
Yeah.
And so we got into the regular season with our regular team, and first day of practice, I said to myself I was going to be the first one at the gym. I got to be there early because the first day I can't mess around. I got to do the same thing that got me here. I got to be the first one at the gym. And we had 11 o'clock practice. I get there at about 7 or 8 o'clock. When I get there, get to the gym, it's quiet, but I hear a ball bouncing. I'm like, who? How? I get out there, and I see somebody just drenched in sweat. He's working. That's my first time I met Steph Curry. And he just had this thing that he said, I want to be great. Like, I want to be great. He had come off of some years of injuries. And first practice, he did his own workout early where he was drenched. And when all the guys came later, I did my workout back then too. All the guys came in later, and we did our workout with the team. And after practice, we did some more work. And we had this goal. We had to set goals and intentions for the year. What do we want to do? We want to go to the playoffs. We want to be champions. We want to be a great offensive team and defensive. Dang, all these goals. How many games did y'all win last year exactly? won 16 games.
Yeah.
Damn. It's a long season to only win 16 games. The worst team in the NBA they were the year before. But they had these huge goals. And got off to work. So, your question was, what was it like to go from that team to the best team in the NBA, the NBA champions? It took work. It took losses, hard losses. It took going beyond and really going out of the norm. The coach, Mark Jackson, at the time said, Steph Curry and Klay Thompson are the best shooting backcourt I have ever seen in the history of the NBA. He got chastised by everyone. They said, no way. You are the most biased coach. What are you talking about? Matter of fact, your reputation is on the line now. Even Steph talks about this, where he's like, man, I can't believe he said that. Yeah, I guess I got to go do it now.
Yeah.
And sometimes it takes somebody believing in you, full circle.
Yeah.
That's one. Two is we had a team that was very cohesive. We had a team that wanted to be around each other. The team that just wanted to be good for each other. Like, we just wanted to be good. And people came in and they worked. And you didn't have to tell Steph to show up early in the morning. You didn't have to tell me as a rookie. You didn't have to tell Draymond that. You didn't have to tell Klay that or Harrison. Everybody wanted to work. They set this goal that they want to do this thing, and we all were working on our own individual work. And then when we came as a team, came together, we got our work in together as a team. You didn't want to see practice. Practice, we were almost killing each other. And it took some bumps and bruises along the way. We lost in the playoffs that year, but we made the playoffs for the first time in 20 years, or the second time in 20 years. This team did. And man, like, it was like a party in the Bay Area. Yo, we're here. The first year, we made it to the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
And we won our first round matchup against the Denver Nuggets. And the next round, we played against the San Antonio Spurs. And they were older and wiser and stronger and tougher and all the ers than we were. And we lost to them. And it took that loss. And the next year we came back and we added Andre Iguodala to our team from the Denver Nuggets. And we went on this season. And we lost in the first round in the playoffs. Both hurt. Losing sucks. Going through a whole season to wait for the playoffs to get there, and then guys get injured. I missed my whole second season because I hurt my knee again. And I'm watching my teammates play. And it hurts. And we lose in the first round knowing I could help my team. It hurts. In the third season,
Mm-hmm.
on my birthday, the coach comes to practice and says, Fess, for your birthday present today, I'll let you play in the game tonight. I finally did all my rehab. I was healthy enough to play. And I got on the court and I played for the first time in 18 months. Man, I was so excited. I was so happy. Got through all that work to get on the court. And we went through that season. I think we won 66 games that season. And we go through the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
And no playoff is ever easy. I don't even know if people were listening expecting to hear something like, oh, yeah, we just went on and won. We had moments where we were this close from losing. And there was something, an extra decision making. It's just something that pushed us over the hump. And you can only learn those things and learn that extra fortitude and that extra will from losses, from those moments when you lost before and it hurt.
Mm-hmm.
So now when you're about to lose, you remember that pain and it gives you a little oomph to fight through to be able to go win a series, a game. And eventually you get to the finals and you're beat and you're bruised and you've played about 115 games and you don't have any energy left. Now you have to play the boss. What do you do? Everything you learned along the way, all the habits you had, now you get to show it. So that's what that was. You know, you go on to win an NBA championship and it's unreal. You know, my favorite part of winning an NBA championship, people don't talk about, is when the buzzer goes off. Like, the first thing that happens, nobody ever talks about this. You win a championship, the buzzer just went off. Everybody, the first thing you do is like, who do I get to celebrate with? Like, you're looking for your teammates, like, yo, we did it. We
Yeah.
did it. Like, all those times, like, all those things that happened along the way, we didn't stop. We didn't quit. I made my bed when I didn't want to. Yeah, like, I didn't touch the thing I said I wasn't going to touch. It was going to derail me from my journey. Like, we did this thing. That confidence of in each one of yourselves, as much as your confidence in yourself, like, all these things matter. And so when people want to talk about championships and they want to go win a championship, I hope you know that you have to win a championship every day. Like, it's not like you don't just get to go and beat somebody else. Everybody wants to win. It's not like we're out here playing to lose. It's in your business. It's in politics. Like, we're all playing to win. But are you giving that extra every day? Like, are you going to win the championship every day? Are you doing it for the fame? Are you doing it because when it really hits, when you're tired and you're bruised and you still have to keep playing and keep showing up, it has to be more than that. Like, it has to be from a place of like, dude, I just can't lose. Like, I'm not losing this game.
Mm-hmm.
I've put in way too much time. I've done the work. Like, you've not put in enough work as I've put in. There's no way you're taking me out of this game. And I think that's what it symbolizes to win a championship. But it's crazy though. Like, I had this moment. I felt like I was dreaming. Like, I just couldn't understand what was happening. Like, I was looking around like, yo, we just won a championship, yo. Like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
And I started to get scared. I was like, yo, wait, what if I'm dreaming? So I was so scared. I didn't want to go to sleep. I was up the whole time. Like, we're like, people don't know this, like, but when they pour champagne on your face and all that stuff, that junk burns. Like, it's burning your eyes. You don't know what's going on. That's why you put the goggles on to protect your face, protect your eyes. All the stuff is going on. So you're drunk on champagne. I go back to the hotel. We're celebrating in Cleveland. I don't want to go to sleep because if I wake up and this is a dream, I will be pissed. I'm not going to sleep. And at some point, because I drank so much champagne, I passed out. Full jersey and all. Like, I didn't even get to.
Yeah.
And I woke up the next morning and holy shit, it was not a dream. Like, we actually won the championship. That was, man, it's just, even thinking about it now, like, it gives me chills because I know everything that went into it. And as much as I want to tell you all the, hard work, consistency, discipline, and leadership, like, it's not, you can't put it in words. There's moments in that season that could have gone two ways. There's moments between teammates that could have gone and taken the teammateship awry and really torn us apart.
Mm-hmm.
And those moments brought us closer. And we kept fighting. And there's moments where you were injured and you came back. And you kept fighting. There's moments when you didn't want to show up to practice. And you guys lost 2 games in a row and 3 games in a row. And you didn't know it was still possible. And people doubted you. But you have to speak to each other. It's just about us. It's just us. Don't worry about anything anybody else is talking about. We got everything that we need. And we used to say that every huddle before we go on the court. Just us on 3. 1, 2, 3. Just us. And at the end of the game, our huddle was, we're all we got. And everyone would say, we're all we need. We're all we got. We're all we need. So there's a lot of things in that journey that I don't think people will understand. But there's a lot of lessons I also think that it's important to learn because if you want to go win a championship, you got to make sure that you're cut like you really want to go win.
So after completing something that amazing, such as winning an NBA championship, you're faced with another trial with your knee injury once again. And that essentially, like, you had a series of surgeries because of that.
Yeah.
And those were some long years for you. So what gave you the mental fortitude to keep trying to come back and play in the league? Um, let's talk about that for now. What gave you the mental fortitude to keep trying to come back?
Oh man, some tough memories, man. In 2017, I had probably 7 surgeries. I was in a wheelchair for 6 months during that time. Um, this is after just coming from playing in the finals in 2016, and that was hard. That was really hard because you go from being one of the best athletes in the world to not being able to go to the bathroom by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You're on crutches. You're dependent on other people. The diagnosis is you never play basketball again. And like you're so like lost. You're so angry. Like you're angry at God. You're angry at everybody. Like how is this possible? Like how is that possible that you gave me this story, and this is how you end it? I'm upset and I'm mad and I'm cursing at everything. Like why do bad things happen to good people? And you asked me about mental fortitude. I think when you're in a dark place, like you don't even think about mental fortitude. You just like you're trying to make sense of life. When you hit a bad road, you're trying to figure out why you. And you start trying to make a deal with God. You're like, man, if you let me come back from this, I will go to church every day. I'll serve all the homeless people. Man, there's a moment I remember. I remember because I'm in like this big old cast. I had to sit in this machine for 8 hours a day that moved my knee back and forth just to give it like to circulate the blood. I had a blood clot at one point, it almost killed me. Man, there was just so much stuff happening. Like I had to keep taking injections in my stomach 3, 4 times a day. I'm just in pain all over. I can't move my leg. Like it's so much pain. I remember one morning I just woke up, I guess like early morning. I just break down. I'm not just crying. Like I'm crying. Like I'm like I don't even know. Like think of the deepest cry. Think of like you're like yelling, screaming. Like I'm like I remember my mom walks our mom. Her mom walks in the room and she just sees me and you know she starts to ask me a question. She says, um, "Do you know that you're strong?" And I said, I don't really want to hear this right now. She said, "Do you know you're strong?" I nod. She said, "Being strong means you're able to carry the weight when it's the heaviest. When it's heavy, you can carry it. You're strong.
Mm-hmm.
God gave you this mountain so you can show others it can be moved." Those words are etched into my heart. And you ask me about the fortitude, that's it. No matter where I am in this journey, no matter what happens is going wrong, God gave me the mountain so I can show others it can be moved. You need somebody to believe in you. You need somebody to speak life into you. You need somebody to tell you, and you need to believe. That's what gave me the change of perspective.
So now you're a sports analyst for the team you used to play on.
Mm-hmm.
How'd that opportunity come about?
Well, the doctors were wrong. I got to play basketball one more time, and I got to leave on my own terms.
Mm-hmm.
And after I stopped playing basketball, matter of fact, through the process of my recovery, I realized that I love telling stories
Mm-hmm.
because the story that my mom told me gave me so much life and so much light that I wanted to tell other people's stories so they can also feel that. So I started telling stories, whether it was on social media, eventually turned into a podcast. The podcast is called Rebuilding the Beast. And it was me sharing my story at first, and then led me to connecting with other people who share their stories of overcoming challenges of all sorts,
Mm-hmm.
adversity, and seeing how those challenges led them to higher heights than they even expected they could get to. We all related on that front, and we share these stories to inspire people. Doing that took me away from my fright of being in front of the camera. It gave me an inspiration to continue to show up in front of the camera because I wanted to tell people this good news. And maybe in some ways it's like part of my deal with God back then. I was like, yo, I'm going to help all these people. And God gave me the chance to play basketball again. So this is me holding up my end of the bargain.
Mm-hmm.
I stood here in front of a mic and I interview people just like you're doing now.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked them, what helped you in your tough times? And by sharing that, other people are better for it. And so this podcast continues to grow. Eventually, I got a call from the team I used to play for,
Mm-hmm.
from the Golden State Warriors, and they asked me, Raymond Ritter is our guy, is the head of PR over there. He asked me, is this something you're interested in doing? Do you want to work for NBC as a sports analyst? There's a vacant spot. Would you like to come? Initially, I was like, no, because this feels like too much. I didn't believe in myself enough at the time. And eventually, full circle, it came back around about a year later. And it came back around because I went to a game to watch with one of my friends who's an owner and owner of the team, so they have courtside seats. And when I came back, I got a hero's welcome. I'm sitting there courtside on the Jumbotron saying hi to the fans, and they're going crazy because they remember we won a championship there.
The first one.
They won the first championship since 1975. And they don't forget. And fans don't forget how you treat them. And so the ability for NBC asked me, told me to come in the next day. They were like, would you like to come do a guest spot on TV? And I was like, sure, I'll come. I came the first day. And they were like, come back tomorrow. I went the second day. And so they handed me a contract. They're like, yo, would you want to do like 13 games this season? I was like, sure. And I continued doing that. And at the end of the season, regular season, they asked me to do the whole playoffs. And I kept doing it. But I really just showed up with energy. Like, I have so much love for this team, for this game. And every time I would talk about them, they could feel it. The fans were like, man, we're so happy you're back. But also, we loved you when you played. We're happy that you're here still with us. And so the energy was just symbiotic. Like, I would do something, the fans would react, they would give me energy, then they would give me more energy to come back on TV, and the team was still my guys. So just being here supporting them along the way, I can't play anymore, but I can give them support, whatever way I can. Giving fans a different insight into the way the players think that gives them more empathy for the guys to understand that this is not an easy thing. Like, you're asking guys to show up and score 30 points a night. Sometimes my knee hurts. So when I do that and I still score 30, you got to give me props for that. And yeah, I get paid a lot of money, but that doesn't stop me from being human. Those are the things I think people need to understand, and that's the role of an analyst in my position. So the thing I will say and how this whole thing came to be is a quote. They said, our job in life is to continue to open doors. And along the way, some doors will close. Keep walking through the open doors. Keep walking through the open doors.
Helen Keller.
I actually don't know
Yeah.
whose quote that is. I love that quote so much. So I'm walking through the open door and started doing this job, and so far it's been awesome.
What's the best part about doing what you do now?
The best part of being a sports analyst, the love I have for the game of basketball is still so deep in me, and a chance to express it in a way that other people can still resonate with it. The love when I played was screaming and yelling after a great block or an amazing dunk, and that was love, and it was passion. It was, you could feel it. And even now, when my former teammates and the new guys on the team
Mm-hmm.
dunk or block or hit a three, I'm still screaming. That's still my love, and these are still my guys, and this is my team. That is my favorite part about this job. In addition to the fact that I work with amazing people. I have, Chris Mullins, an NBA legend, Bonte, Darrell Wright, Monty Poole, Garrett Burke, Dalton Johnson, Zena Cada, and my producers and the whole crew over there at NBC. They've been so welcoming. And they're giving me a chance to work on this craft and really just welcome me with open arms. The ability to start a new job is not easy. Like, you make a lot of mistakes. You try to figure out, like, am I doing this right? And somebody like me too, like, I want to be good. Like, whenever I'm doing something, I want to be part of this team. Like, I want to make sure that I'm helping this team win.
Mm-hmm.
So having a team like that that's so supportive is really important. And it's made me enjoy showing up to work every day. And I make mistakes, sure, but I make up for those mistakes with great effort, energy, and just with the love that I have for the people I work with. And so I found a new passion. I love what I do, and I hope for everyone around that's watching this that they find what they do too, because it's a beautiful thing to be able to show up to work every day and look forward to it.
Let's switch gears.
Mm-hmm.
What's the best advice you've ever received?
When I was young, I used to hate this advice, but I think now that we're older, I understand it so much. Dad always used to say, "Tomorrow is pregnant," and I never fully understood it. Um, Especially because he would say it when he didn't want to give us something that we asked for. Like, he'd like, just be patient. And I think that advice applies to a lot of things. For one, if tomorrow is pregnant, it can give birth to anything. And so your responsibility is to be prepared for whatever tomorrow brings, rain or shine. And if it's shining tomorrow, then be prepared to capture the sunlight. And if it's raining tomorrow, be prepared with an umbrella and a raincoat and rain boots to be able to withstand that weather. And the next part to that, though, is that nobody is ever where they're going to end up tomorrow today. If tomorrow is pregnant, it means that what your future is has not been determined yet. And you have time. As long as you have breath in your lungs, you can build your tomorrow today with the things that you're able to do today. So what is your future self thanking you for? Tomorrow's pregnant is my best advice I ever received.
That's deep. What's the worst advice you've ever received?
The worst advice I ever received. Dang, I don't even register the bad advices. The worst advice? I don't know if this is the worst. I don't know if it's advice, but um, I remember when I was at Vanderbilt. Oh, coach used to pick on me a lot. Like, he used to be very, very hard on me. And I would sit there after practice. I would listen to some guys. They'd be like, "Man, coach has really been getting at you. Like, this ended up being the best advice too." But he was like, "Yo, you need to stand up for yourself. Go get back at him, because if he keeps punking you, he's gonna think he can talk to you like that all the time." So I go to his office and I stomp in. I'm like, "Man, you can't keep doing me like this. You can't keep talking to me like this. This is crazy." And he's like, "What are you talking about? This is the coach for Vanderbilt." I was like, man, you keep picking on me all the time. I can't take it anymore. And he sat me down, shut the door, and he explained to me. He said, the reason why I'm the hardest on you is because I see the most potential in you. I will not spend my time going as hard as I am if I didn't see that. And I'm hard on you because I want you to bring it out so badly. And there was a different way, an eloquent way that he put it at the time. I can't fully remember right now. And when he said it, I never complained. Again, like when people yell at me now, they actually think it's kind of crazy because I start laughing because I'm so used to people, like he was always going crazy. That stuff doesn't really bother me. Like, it's the intention behind it. And so I guess it was the worst advice to go yell at my coach, but ended up being the best advice because I was able to hear and we were able to see each other. And still till today, I went to Vanderbilt a couple months ago. I took a bunch of people to his house to go sit and really commiserate and tell stories. And it was so amazing, man. So you never know what the intention is. Sometimes I think people, they take adversity as a bad thing, but in each one of these stories, you can see that, the adversity was the way to something even greater being born.
This next question is something you like to ask. What advice would you give to your younger self?
The advice I would give to my younger self, I think the advice I give to my younger self comes in the form of a story. It's about the man whose horses ran away, or his horse ran away. And all the people came and they said, man, it's so unlucky that your horse ran away. The man said, oh, okay, well, we'll see. And while his horse ran back after a while, and when he came back with wild horses. And all the people came back. They were like, wow, how lucky you are now. The horse came back with a bunch of different horses. You're rich. He said, we'll see. And one day his son was trying to ride one of the wild horses and fell down, broke his leg. People came back again and said, so unlucky. The man says, we'll see. And the military at the time was trying to recruit his son. And they came. And at the time, whenever they recruit you, you go to the war and you die. And they couldn't recruit the son because he had a broken leg. So the people came back and said, how lucky it is they couldn't recruit your son. He says, well, we'll see. What I would say to my younger self is, don't be affected by the ups and downs of life. You are able, and you really just don't know. I guess it goes back to tomorrow's pregnant, but you don't know what good God is working in your life, even if it's through adversity, through challenges. Just let the story play out. Trust the journey.
Trust the journey, indeed. We're going to wrap this up with this final question. Where do you see yourself in, let's say, 5 to 10 years from now?
Hopefully doing some epic stuff, man. Hopefully happy. And with some little ones running around, maybe some adopted kids. For sure, doing a lot of charity work back in Africa. But honestly, with the way my story's going, I have no idea what comes next. Things just keep coming, and I keep walking through open doors. I do know that before that 5-year mark, though, I want to be one of the best analysts in the game before I pivot and do anything else in my life. I want to continue to grow Rebuilding the Beast and do live events that people can respond to and can help heal people and give them tools they can use to continue to build in their lives. But I see myself with a family. Like, I see myself being able to share this love I have with other people that can go into the world and also share their love with people. I think that's really important in life. So, Yeah, 5 to 10 years. I'll have to
Dope.
do another interview back in 10 years and see if I actually did what I said I was going to do.
See where we're at. But yeah, man, appreciate you for coming on.
Let's go, baby. I'm bothered.
I'm bothered. So that's another episode of Unbothered. We have my brother, NBA champion turned sports analyst, and that's it for today. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it.